My beloved brothers and sisters, today, I'm going to say something that most people are too afraid to say out loud. If you truly understand this, no man will ever be able to control your emotions again. Think about this for a moment. Why do some women love deeply, give everything, and still end up broken? Why do some women lose themselves while trying to keep someone else? It's not about beauty. It's not about intelligence. It's about the moment a woman hands her worth to another human being. The day your happiness depends on a man, your peace becomes fragile. The day your self-worth depends on his attention, you give him power over your heart. But the moment you realize you don't need a man to complete you, no one can control you anymore. This message isn't just motivational. It's a warning and a way out. So don't leave yet. Because the last truth I'll share is the one most people never tell you. A woman who is connected to Allah is a woman whose heart is no longer owned by creation. Her peace does not rise and fall with attention, messages, promises, or approval. She understands that people can change, emotions can shift, and relationships can end, but Allah never leaves. This connection reshapes her entire inner world. She no longer fears abandonment because her heart is anchored in the one who is always near. When a woman finds her worth through Allah, no human being can manipulate her emotions, threaten her stability, or control her decisions through fear or guilt. Emotional control begins where emotional dependency exists. When a woman believes her happiness is tied to one person, she becomes vulnerable. She tolerates disrespect just to feel loved. She stays silent just to keep peace. She compromises her values just to avoid being alone. But when her heart is attached to Allah, loneliness no longer terrifies her. Silence no longer feels empty. Waiting no longer feels painful. She understands that being alone with Allah is better than being with someone who drains her soul. A woman who prays regularly carries a quiet strength. Prayer teaches her patience, discipline, and surrender. When she places her worries before Allah, she stops unloading them onto people who cannot heal her. When she cries in sujood, she no longer needs to beg for understanding from those who will never truly see her heart. This spiritual release protects her from emotional exploitation because she does not look to people to fill a space that only Allah can fill. Connection with Allah also sharpens discernment. She learns to recognize the difference between love and control, concern and possession, guidance and manipulation. She understands that someone who truly cares for her will not isolate her from her values, her faith, or her dignity, because her moral compass is rooted in faith. No one can confuse her with sweet words while leading her toward harm. This connection builds calmness. A woman grounded in Allah does not react impulsively. She pauses, reflects, and responds with wisdom. Control thrives on emotional chaos. Manipulation works best when emotions are high and clarity is low. But a woman who turns to Allah before reacting cannot be easily provoked. Her silence is not weakness, it is self-control. Her patience is not submission, it is strength. Most importantly, a woman connected to Allah knows that she is already chosen, already valued, already honored. She does not chase love in unhealthy ways because she knows she is loved by her Creator. She does not shrink herself to be accepted because Allah created her with purpose. When a woman reaches this level of awareness, control becomes impossible. You cannot control someone who fears Allah more than losing you. You cannot manipulate someone who knows that whatever leaves her life was never meant to stay. This is not rebellion. This is liberation through faith. This is how a woman becomes emotionally free, spiritually strong, and completely ungovernable by anyone who seeks power over her heart. Knowledge, boundaries, and emotional intelligence are the tools that shape a woman into someone who cannot be controlled. Control thrives where there is confusion, self-doubt, and fear of loss. When a woman lacks understanding of herself, her faith, and her rights, she becomes easy to influence. But when she learns, reflects, and grows, her mind becomes clear, and clarity is the enemy of manipulation. A woman who seeks knowledge begins to recognize patterns. She understands that respect is not proven through control, jealousy, or emotional pressure. She learns that love does not demand the abandonment of values, nor does it silence her voice. Through learning her deen, she becomes aware of her dignity, her responsibilities, and her worth. Through understanding life, she learns that not every man who speaks softly is sincere, and not every promise that sounds beautiful is safe. Knowledge gives her vision, and vision gives her freedom. Boundaries are born from this awareness. A woman who has no boundaries slowly loses herself. She says yes when her heart says no. She accepts behavior that wounds her spirit. She tolerates disrespect because she fears being alone or misunderstood. But a woman who knows her worth understands that boundaries are not walls of cruelty, they are lines of self-respect. She learns to say no without explaining herself 100 times. She learns to step back without anger. She understands that distance can be an act of mercy, not hatred. Emotional intelligence deepens this strength. A woman who understands her emotions is not ruled by them. She does not allow anger to make decisions for her, nor does she allow fear to silence her. She pauses before reacting. She reflects before responding. When someone tries to provoke her, she recognizes the trap. She understands that the person who controls emotions controls the situation. By mastering her own reactions, she protects her power. This does not make her cold or heartless. She still loves, cares, and feels deeply. But she does not let emotions blind her judgment. She does not confuse intensity with sincerity. She knows that real care brings peace, not constant anxiety. When something does not feel right, she trusts her intuition without guilt. Emotional intelligence teaches her that discomfort is often a warning, not a weakness. A woman with boundaries and emotional intelligence does not engage in endless arguments to prove her worth. She does not beg to be understood. She speaks once with clarity, and if her words are ignored, her silence becomes her answer. This calm confidence unsettles those who seek control because they cannot provoke chaos or dependency. Through knowledge, she learns when to hold on and when to let go. Through boundaries, she protects her heart. Through emotional intelligence, she maintains dignity even in difficulty. Such a woman is not easily influenced, pressured, or dominated. She stands firm without arrogance and gentle without weakness. Her strength lies in self-awareness, and that awareness makes her free. Healing and self-worth are what complete a woman's strength. Without healing, even knowledge and boundaries can collapse under emotional pressure. A wounded heart seeks validation, reassurance, and attachment in unhealthy ways. When pain is unresolved, it quietly dictates choices, reactions, and tolerance. This is where control finds its entry. But when a woman heals, she becomes calm, clear, and firm. Healing closes the doors that manipulation once entered through. A woman must first acknowledge her pain. Ignoring wounds does not make them disappear, it only allows them to bleed silently. Past rejection, betrayal, emotional neglect, or feeling unseen can shape how she loves and trusts. If she does not heal, she may accept less than she deserves just to feel chosen. She may stay where she is disrespected because familiarity feels safer than uncertainty. Healing teaches her that peace is not found in clinging, but in letting go. Self-worth grows when a woman stops measuring her value by how someone treats her. People's behavior often reflects their own wounds, not her worth. When she understands this, rejection no longer destroys her, and criticism no longer defines her. She knows she is valuable even when she is not chosen, praised, or prioritized. This inner certainty makes her emotionally independent. You cannot control someone who does not need your approval to feel whole. Healing also changes how a woman loves. She no longer loves from fear, desperation, or emptiness. She loves from abundance. She gives without losing herself. She cares without abandoning her limits. She walks away without guilt when respect disappears. A healed woman does not try to fix people who refuse to change. She understands that it is not her responsibility to save someone at the cost of her own well-being. As self-worth strengthens, Tolerance for disrespect weakens. What she once accepted, she now rejects calmly. Not with drama, not with revenge, but with dignity. She no longer explains her pain to someone committed to misunderstanding her. She understands that clarity has already been given, and repeated explanations only drain her. Her silence becomes a decision, not a weakness. Healing makes her patient, not passive. It teaches her that not every loss is a punishment and not every delay is denial. Some endings are protection. Some separations are mercy. When she internalizes this, fear loses its grip. Fear is the main tool of control. Take fear away and control collapses. A healed woman also forgives, not to excuse harm, but to free herself from its weight. She releases resentment so it does not poison her heart. She does not carry bitterness into new relationships. Her past becomes a lesson, not a prison. This emotional lightness gives her clarity and strength. In the end, a woman with self-worth and healing is grounded, calm, and unshakable. She does not seek power over others, nor does she surrender power over herself. She chooses peace over chaos, dignity over attachment, and growth over familiarity. Such a woman cannot be controlled because she is no longer controlled by her wounds.